Hi everyone, I'm Colleen Cross, editor of Canadian Pizza Magazine. Welcome to our professional pizza roundtable talk, Managing Your Pizza Team. A year ago, many operators said their top issue and concern was building and managing their teams, finding good people. We know attracting and retaining reliable and motivated and professional staff is a big priority for pizzeria operators. Following our virtual pizza summit in October, some of you expressed an interest in exploring these topics more. So we decided to hold a little roundtable talk and see if we can generate some ideas. Joining us today are three special guests with three very different perspectives, maybe not so different, but coming at it from different angles. Perspectives on building a pizza team. They will share their experiences and what they found to be best practices. And the goal is to give you ideas to take away for your own team. Diana Cline. Diana is owner and partner with Diana's Cucina and Lounge, a successful and innovative pizzeria in Winnipeg that showcases her award-winning pizza recipes. Diana has won and judged at multiple international and Canadian competitions and writes a column for our magazine. In addition to operating her own business, she is a consultant to other owner-operators in menu development, creating operational systems, and marketing. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Sean Milks, hi Sean,
hi.
is Director of Operations for Gabriel Pizza Franchise Corporation, which specializes in pizza and Italian food dining and delivery, with franchise locations throughout Eastern Ontario and Western Quebec. It's well known for its team enthusiasm and fundraising work in the community. Sean has a passion for people and the customer experience. Welcome. Karen Horton is a recruitment specialist, helping businesses connect with the right talent for managerial and executive level needs, as well as a hiring coach to franchise owners and independents looking to craft the right hiring process to attract and retain good people. Karen and her husband Ross are franchise owners of Patrice and Associates, recruiting specialists, working coast to coast in North America and residing in Ontario's lovely Niagara region. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Welcome, everyone. We'll get right to it. I have a question for Karen. In your experience, who are today's restaurant job candidates and what are they looking for?
So I think really who they are is generationally speaking, sorry, that was hard to say, is Gen Z for your hourlies, and millennials probably more so for your managers and your general managers. And I think, in the future, it'll be Gen Alpha, but we're not there yet. So, what they're really looking for are an alignment. So it can be anywhere from that local community, what you're doing, how you're participating, how you're showing up and creating value in their immediate area where they live, but also that corporate level. So they are looking for that. They're looking for flexibility. It could be flexibility in start times. I think particularly with COVID, people are looking for more flexible hours and more flexible workspace that way. I think they're really looking for some appreciation from their employers, so that they're doing a good job, that they can see others getting appreciation, and it just creates a motivating place to work. And then lastly, I think it's really consistent development opportunities. They're looking to develop skill sets, and whether it be skill sets in leadership, skill sets in actual skills. I don't think they see themselves as lacking in skills. It's a lacking of learning opportunities. And so it's just a different mindset for them. And so it's just a matter of how you can really create those opportunities.
Thank you. And we'll get into it with everyone and ask where and how do you find reliable long-term employees, aka the good ones? We'll start with Diana.
So first and foremost, our go-to is usually friends and acquaintances of our existing team members. When we have good team members, it's, the saying, birds of a feather flock together. And so they know what's expected of them. They know what the environment's like and the hours. They know what we're like, my partners and I. And so they're more likely to recommend someone that's a good fit. And then secondary to that would be a
out to my customers and see if anybody has a person who is interested in working with us, and then we invite them to go through the hiring process.
Right. And just a little background, can you tell everyone briefly about your setup, Diana, and how the size of your operation?
Sure. So we have takeout and delivery, and also dine-in for our fabulous lounge, which is still currently closed. We have, say, 11 to 12 team members on the schedule right now. My servers are working in the kitchen because they're good people, and they do like what they do. And we're hoping that we can open the patio soon so that we have some serving hours for them. And my previous concept, I've managed up to 26 team members.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for your insights. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, similar to Diana, good people generally run with good people. And, when you have good people who understand expectations and standards, for someone, there's usually a bond or a connection there that they can't make them look bad, right? So there's actually a little bit more investment in them. Traditionally, we still use some sites like Workopolis and Indeed and the aggregate sites where, for example, in Ottawa right now, cooks are very difficult to come by. So, we run out of our stable of people very quickly, and we still have to go to those sites. And then, it's the vetting process through there. So, I think that for us, having, 40 locations through Eastern Ontario and Western Quebec and a mix of both takeout and dine-ins, we've done a good job of repurposing or relocating our people into positions that still allow them to come to work, and participate in the feeling of the restaurant business. But at the same time, I think that, we are now, as patio season starts to open up, we'll be back into that recruiting phase, and we're going probably earlier than we ever have, recognizing that the road is going to be a little bit longer, with people doing different things now, or maybe even possibly changing out of the industry. So we recognize that there'll be a lot of opportunity coming, but certainly a fair share of challenges with that as well.
Thank you. And Karen, what are you seeing in terms of sources of workers?
Yes, I think that it's definitely, I concur with both of you, that ask your employees, do a small survey with your employees to see what they really love about working for you, and then those key points are going to be your selling features. So what you use to promote attracting new talent, and I think going to the source. So, like you say, referrals, but also maybe there's career fairs at schools. You can have a hiring party where your employees get to, well, party is a bad word, I guess, during a pandemic. You know what I mean? Maybe hopefully once all the vaccines are done and whatnot, but you can provide food and bring them in and have them enroll on the spot. Take some questionnaires if you do any of those EQ type questions, and get them at least started in the process. And the trick is just continually being engaged with them. So getting cell phone numbers, making sure that you're texting or having a system where you're staying in constant contact.
Right. Good advice, everyone. I guess I want to look at training as well. And what strategies are you finding are most successful for training your new employees? Sean, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think training or onboarding is really important, right? Not only from the outset of getting the candidate in, I think having an onboarding or a training program does separate some restaurants from other restaurants. A lot of the times it's here's your apron, here's what we need you to do, and go. Where if we're able to implement our values and our culture immediately, and our 7 steps of service or whatever it is, where we try to get the foundation where it makes it easy for them to be able to replicate and duplicate over and over. It's really important, right? That structure. I do think that in a lot of cases, the training programs can be from as little as 2 weeks to 6 weeks based on your experience. And I think that's important too, is recognizing the candidate coming in and where they are. Someone who's tenured in the business, 6 weeks of training is going to be excruciating for them. So how do you get them up to par, up quick enough while engaging them in it, right? So I try to mix a lot of our training as, back of house, front of house, how do we engage you? You learn all the roles. So, for example, you understand what the life might be in expo, even though you're a server. So you understand some of the complications or difficulties that they have. And I think that allows them to communicate better when things aren't going as well as you'd like or as smooth, with the goal ultimately being smooth, of course. And we do a really big focus on calendar check-ins. So, for example, when I'm in the restaurant, I always want to sit with our new people and get an idea of how's it going, what's working, what's challenging, what maybe did you do somewhere else that you didn't do here? Are we missing something, right? Recognizing that you've got to be a bit agile and pivot, and everybody's got a great idea. So I'm always like, how was our training versus your previous training? And, what did you really love about it? And what was challenging? And what could we be doing better? And I think that constantly keeping pulse with your team allows us for the next group of trainees coming through to be on point. And that's really important to me, because I don't want people to join us and then feel, it wasn't a great training experience. Because if the training experience isn't great, they're never going to stay, right? And once the restaurants start to reopen again, you will have, less than before due to the closures, but still a pick of the litter of where to go and where to work. And I think I want to be your choice, right? I don't want to be your need. I want you to work for me because you really enjoy it and you choose being there, and we in turn choose you to be here, right? So for me, it's a big part of pulse check-ins and making sure that talent pipelines, with our team, we do a pipeline where I meet once a month with my operations specialist or my territory managers, and we go through, hey, who's the next up and coming talent? Who's a bit challenged right now and who needs more help? Who do we think is maybe not coming back from layoff? Have we figured out what that next step is? So I think just staying ahead of that and making it manageable, it gives a sense of like, we have the right people. And, patio season is opening in probably 2 short weeks, going to run longer than it ever has. And there's going to be a shortage of great people. So I think that by making sure the training program is structured, making sure the training program is followed up on, making sure the training program has a great trainer, and I'm involved from a certain level to make sure that it's the right program, I think it kind of sets us up a little bit different than other organizations.
It's a great idea. It's a cross training and just being responsive. Diana, what about you? How do you find the training experience?
Prior to COVID, I always liked my servers to have some time in the kitchen. I think that it's important, the cross-training aspect. I think that the greatest servers are ones that know the ingredients that we use, know why we choose certain ingredients, and can answer the questions like, oh, yes, this is gluten-free. Oh, this is made from scratch. Rather than just, a lot of people think that it's very easy being a server, and being a bad server, I guess, is very easy, but that's not what we're looking for. And so for training, we usually pair them up with, especially with the team member that recommended them, and if they went through the hiring process and they were successful. So then, okay, so this person is now going to be kind of like your co-trainer, co-leader. And it's like Sean had said, so there's check-ins. Is anybody feeling like they're missing some aspects, or they'd like some more clarification on a certain part? And so then you see what hands come up. Like we use a Facebook Messenger essentially, and they just leave it open. Like you can message me directly if you prefer, just to have that constant contact with them, so that if there's an area where they would like to improve, if there's an area where they're feeling that their skills are just a little bit weaker and they'd like a little bit more time on that, then we can address that and improve. And so, the feedback, taking their pulse to see how are you feeling. You're comfortable taking phone orders. Some people are very shy on the phone and they don't want to do it. And like, you have to. I'm sorry, but you really do. Don't worry. We'll be here if you need it. That sort of thing. And helping them be the best that they can be when they're with us.
That's great advice. And it's really interesting to see 2 different scales of operations that some of the same principles are really working.
I'd love to say as well that I like the coaching and mentoring philosophy. I think that's exactly what candidates are as well, especially during those onboarding times. The other is the use of technology, and even adding some fun and some wit into it. And I think creating short videos, of the right way to make a pizza, of, the right way to fold boxes, and having a competition. And I love the idea of the chat room. Slack is a really good program that you can create projects and so on. So I think, really engaging them with what they're comfortable with, and that's using technology is critical. It also allows managers and owners to hop in and see who's participating, and also get on and send messages so that people have a closer bond with all levels of the team.
Right. You bring up a really good point about technology. I think there's more and more of these scheduling apps and tools and things like that. Is that something you're seeing candidates looking for, Karen?
It's also something that they will not think of themselves, but it's an actual skill that I tell my clients about. So, what apps are you using for scheduling? What apps are you using behind back of house? What apps are you using? Right. So, those are all things that I include in the information that I send on to clients.
Right. I'll throw this to Diana and Sean, but do you find that some of your staff enjoy to use some of those apps and options, or does that come up much in your operation?
I think for us, 7 Shifts is obviously a fantastic platform that we leverage in the organization, and through that you have chat integration. We're able to send your schedule. We're able to make it super easy for you. In my previous roles, whenever we did anything that was employee facing, we wanted to make sure it was available on a mobile phone, or did it have a mobile phone interface, or how does it? But the restaurant business, I find, is still in transition, right? There's a lot of handwritten notes on chips. There's a lot of someone drew a map of a cleaning section on the back of, an order form, or, when those things are still a little bit further behind as far as the technology standpoint. But I feel that the ideal employee is immersed in technology, right? They own tablets, they own touchscreens, they own phones, they own smartphones. They're engaged in technology. So I will say that the more we engage them in technology, there is a more tactile experience for them, and they seem more open to it. I still feel that the restaurant organization is still transitioning into technology. Previous to this, I was in wireless and telco for many years. So as you can imagine, I went from selling the latest, greatest technology and how apps work and how apps can make your life easier to, in some cases, we leave a to-do list on a chip. So, you know what I mean? You are a polarizing world here, but it's important to be a part of an organization like here at Gabriel Pizza Franchise. We want to adopt to these things, right? We're pushing these things forward. We're consistently looking at POS systems. We're looking at schedules, labor optimizers, inventory optimizers. We're engaged in that type of technology, and we're trying to push it forward. But as you can imagine, you have two workforces that are colliding, right? You have, the older generation of pizziolas who it's an art and they know exactly where the hot spot is in the oven. And then you have other people that are like, there's got to be a better way. So you're really bringing two people together and trying to find the middle point. But I do believe technology will be a big focus going forward for sure.
All right, thanks, Sean. I can see Diana, the light go on there. A little bit of recognition there. How about in your operation, Diana? It's a little bit smaller scale. Do you find that there's the demand and the interest in using some of these new tools?
So anything that I've taken some notes here, I'm going to check those out. But so far for my operation, what we have is working well for us. And we have our POS system, so we do our scheduling in that, and we post the schedule. Having accessibility, I think, is key too. So when in the group, for instance, I'll post something like, for instance, positive feedback. And so like, hey guys, great job. Read this review that was posted on Google, or read this email that we got from the customer. And then conversely, it'll also be where I'll put in like a to-do list. So like, okay, it's time for pre-spring cleaning. This is what I want, start here, do this. After that, do this. And I can take pictures of the actual areas that need the extra attention. first, and then, go on to like an overhaul, like we're just going to wash every wall down, we're going to, that sort of thing, just for good habits and continuing. And then it's just for us, for instance, because we're a smaller operation, and continuing with like good positive feedback in terms of, okay, so this is what we're going to be looking for with the new regulations, and so far we're doing okay as it is, and so don't concern yourself too much with what other places are doing. We're doing okay just as we are now, and when it's time for us, then we'll reopen the other areas.
Right.
Conversely, it could also be for a complaint. So just like, okay, I'm sharing some feedback here. I'm not out to make anybody wrong or make anybody feel terrible. Message me directly if you want, who made this order. Because we recognize in that instance that it could be just something was overlooked. It could be the customer isn't quite accurate with their retelling of the events. And so I just want to know all of it before I go ahead and respond to handle it.
Right. Jumping off that point, what strategies and rewards do you use to motivate your teams? I'm wondering in terms of encouraging them to do their best work and to work as part of a team. Diana, do you have anything special that you find really works?
I know that choosing the right candidates, first of all, and having them work with you is key, because then it's like you've already got people who want to bring you their best, as long as you've got the environment to so that they can show you that. But I mean, previously we've done things where upper levels of supervisors will get a free small pizza every week, and they get to make whatever they want. And just everybody seems to like titles. They like to, like, I'm the supervisor, how can I help you, and that sort of thing. So, but I'm going to actually start looking into some other things that I can just give them as bonuses. Yeah, I'll listen for Sean's answer and Karen's answer.
Well, it's a lot different right now after this past year. I mean, I know there's lots of things you've been doing, like the tastings and fun things and events at your pizzeria. So it's probably a little bit easier at that time when you were able to do that.
Yeah. Gosh, we all miss that, because when we would go do tasting night, we'd sell out tickets and everybody was having fun. Like, all my team members were having fun, and there's definitely leftovers. And so after everybody's served, everybody gets to try a slice, and those who are of age could taste the wines or taste the beers. And, it was highly encouraged. And then I would go in, if you worked with me in 2019 on a Saturday, there's definitely, you heard me say, do you want to taste something weird? Do you want to try something weird? And I'd just go in and make something unusual. And sometimes it was really good and sometimes not, but it was just the experience of let's color outside the lines on what can go on a pizza today, kind of thing.
Must be a fun place to work. And Sean, what do you think? Are there some strategies that
I think from incentives perspectives, we obviously have a great relationship with some of our vendors, and with those incentives, I again encourage it that it goes back to the people as much as possible, right? So a portion, if not all, is always given back into the team, whether it's gift cards or other things that we may run, or if we're gifted wine or things like those, we will often share the wealth. The truth of the matter is that our success is really built off of the support of the front of house staff a lot of the time, and the back of house staff fulfilling those orders. So for us, we get to sit around the boardroom and chat about what could be, and we got people who are working 8-hour days every day dealing with COVID and everything. So as much as possible, I try to give it back, because at the end of the day, they're really the front line. Although they're not a frontline worker, they are a frontline worker, which is a whole vaccination conversation that we can touch base on at any point. But what I would say is it's really about, how do I develop here, right? Your career today may not be your career tomorrow, but it's still your job, and your skills and your communication and project managing and all the things that go into the next job. You learn somewhere else, or you at least perfected them somewhere. So for me, about development plans, when we talk about supervisors, it's, I'll often chat with someone. If I know, for example, through a people meeting, that we have a server who's doing a really great job, And I'll say, so if we talk to them about what the next step looks like and what a supervisor looks like, and then my ops special will be like, actually, we haven't. And I'll say, okay, well, next time I'm in, and I pull them aside and how's it going? Well, you're doing really well. We're recognizing it. Have you ever given thought to what the next step looks like? And some people are like, I didn't know if it was for me or not, and we'll give them a little stretch project or a TLA, a time limited assignment, where hey, you're going to work with so and so next week, and you're going to help with counting, front of house items, or you're going to do this, and then we kind of just keep evolving that, right? I'm a big fan in plus one, meaning you can't have one person that runs everything, because they eventually get sick, they eventually leave, they eventually go on paternity leave now, or something happens and they're gone with COVID, or all of the things that potentially cause the restaurant to fracture. If you don't have people who can do those other roles, the truth is the only one that suffers is the customer. And that is as clear as day. The food quality is not as good, the service is not as good. We may not even have the product if it can't be manufactured or prepared. So for me, I think it's a lot of just really, what do you want to do next, right? Your job today doesn't necessarily have to be your role tomorrow. So how do we keep you engaged in that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Karen, I think you touched on some of this stuff and when talking about what people want, but what have you seen that works, or has your feedback been?
Yes, I think that when I work with the great director of operations or general managers, I see that they bring in a sense of authenticity to their everyday. They allow a sense of ownership to come from their front of house staff or back of house staff, and they celebrate. And those three things are really important. So, for example, one general manager, she would make a point to thank the group coming off shift, thank them for spending their day and working with her today. And so it was just one of those very authentic, heartfelt, because she was about it, and it made people love her and want to work for her, and want to come in on those days if she needed someone to come in short notice. So create a sense of ownership. Maybe the pizza makers on that day can sign their names on the pizza box made by, Chantal or Leroy or whoever it might be. And so that's kind of fun, right? And then celebrating is milestones. So people can have babies, people can have a birthday, people can ace a test. Again, it's those chat rooms. I think Diane was alluding to that. It keeps that conversation going. And Sean as well. You were talking about that, being able to keep your fingers on things, right? So understanding what's happening with your staff and those little celebrations, they mean a lot, keeping people engaged.
Yeah, lots of great ideas here. We're moving on to another aspect of the hiring process and staffing is retaining employees. So you've attracted great employees. What has worked best for hanging on to those employees in the long term? And I'm thinking today of things going on like the emergency relief benefit and other incentives and other competition. What do you do? Do you have specific strategies, perks, or benefits in place? Or is it more a matter of carefully hiring in the first place and managing their expectations? Sean, what do you think of that?
Yeah, no, it's funny because I would say that the CERB thing is just something that we've learned to deal with, right? I would say 4 months ago or 8 months ago, it was kind of like, whoa, how do we get people back to work when their income is so closely attached to this, especially when you think going through the summer, right? Like there was a lot of people who could have took the summer off and hung out with $2,000 and that's the way that it was. And what I found most is, especially dealing with the specialists who are so close to the schedules all the time, and they're saying, we can't get the cook back, we can't get so and so back. And what I said is, you just need to be honest and upfront, right? We'd love to have you back. We're in it together. We were in it before COVID. We're going to be in it after COVID. How do we keep people engaged? Because the truth is, a lot of people wanted to work, and they wanted to come back. So it was appropriate to, how do you take the people who are a little bit nervous about coming back and make sure that they're safe and appropriately being taken care of? How do you take those that want to come back but are trying to balance thin lines? And how do you have some people, and I would say the majority of people just wanted to be back. They weren't really calculating where they needed to be or how they needed to be. They were like, hey, I was serving before. I know I'm not going to get any hours. Can I drive? Can I help in the prep? Can I run expo? Can I run third party? Where can I jump in? The majority of people were trying to find their way into the system. And I think that left me with the comfort of we had a lot of the right people. We just had to figure out a way to make it work. And I would say we successfully did that. Takeouts were very strong for us, right from the beginning. We're a massive takeout organization. And we saw it, and people seemed to really gravitate to takeout for the first while. Well, they still do, but you can almost offset a bit of the dining room through your takeout. So, we did things like that to keep people going. And I think that the other part is we were just communicating all of the time. How are you feeling? What do you need? Because the one thing that we didn't really, we thought about our business. We thought about how do we keep going? We thought about how do we transition? What can we do different? But the part that you can't forget is all the people, right? So how are they feeling? Do they feel safe? Do we have the right protocols? Do people feel safe when they're with us? Because we went right into patio season in April, May. You figure March, kind of the COVID time, you really went 5 or 6 weeks, and then you were transitioning right into patio, and patios were packed. So it was a lot of, I went from, do I have enough people? Do I have the right people? To how do I keep everyone safe? Right? How do I keep customers safe? How do I keep employees safe? How do I keep my ops team safe? Because the ops team is bouncing from store to store to store. I didn't find the serve one was as difficult for myself and my organization. It was definitely there, but we had so many other things that we were focusing on trying to keep going that it was there. And then I felt like it was kind of not there. It was just what we did. But I would say that the big part for me is just making sure that the ops team is approachable. When we're in your store, we're available. Tell us what's working. Tell us what's failing. Tell us what you think we need. I remember we were right to QR codes and menus, right? And the employees were like, we're sanitizing menus. We're sanitizing menus. I said, so what do we want to do? What if we did a QR code? Someone's like, I think QR codes are great. All right, we were testing it. Next thing you know, QR codes were up. That was pivoting for them, right? The truth is we could have just kept saying Sanny menu, Sanny menu, Sanny menus, but we felt that it wasn't appropriate for them to do that, right? It was a risk. So how do we do that? And we want you to be here, and we want all people to be here, right? Again, it comes down to we want to be your choice. And I think that's what makes employers the employer of choice is people choose to be with you, right? They're not forced to be with you. And maybe that's why Serve wasn't as complicated as it was, because people really wanted to be there.
Right. That's really good to hear. Diana, what's been your experience around keeping those good people?
So the last year with Serve, the introduction of Serve, that was very interesting. It was good. It was good to have that for team members, for everybody all over. I did find that, again, I'm a straight up kind of girl, so I'll tell people what I can do, and I'll ask them what are they feeling. Going back in the early stages, one Friday we had 2 drivers that just didn't show up, and these are like solid, count on you people, and they were just so afraid that day, and their family members, their discussion, because it was so early and nobody knew what was going on. And so they just no show, no call, and very uncharacteristic of them. And so previous years, that would just be a general, like, I'm sorry, you're gone kind of thing. But with all the added stress and that, and talking with them, finding out what exactly it was. And we're all human. And so I can't fault anybody for being unsure and fearful of, especially at the early stages when there was so much unknown. I, for one, am glad that there was Serve there. It did make it somewhat tricky at first. It brings up a bigger conversation, like a universal basic income, which could be another discussion. Because for me, what I really wanted to see my best people know that no matter what, their rent was going to be paid, there was going to be money for groceries. And from that feeling of stability, they could come in and work and feel like, not like walking this teeter edge kind of thing. And I've been around the sun long enough, been in the industry long enough, I guess, that over time I've kind of realized that people will move on when the time's right for them. People that want to be with you will stay with you, and I'm happy to let anybody go that wants to go. Make room for somebody that wants to come. If somebody is really good and telling me again straight up with me, because that's how I am with them, they know this about me, and saying, I'm kind of thinking that I'd like to move on, or I'm kind of thinking I want to try this different industry, or I care for everybody. And so by all means, especially if they're like straight up with me, I say, I'll wish you well. I'll give you a great reference. Thank you for your time with us. And I have people who worked for me like 20 years ago and tell me how they loved their time with me. They loved all the skills that they gained. Some were like wallflowers, shy, couldn't talk to anybody. And then being in the customer service and being, working with me, they kind of come out of their shell, and they're able to be like fully functional. Like these skills transfer all the way into later life and different careers. So yeah, I feel like the good long-term employees, if they know you well enough, as long as there's that dialogue there, they're going to tell you that, well, I do want to stay. I have this concern, or I have this issue, and then we'll see how we can address that. And not everybody is with you for a very, very long time. So ideally, I just want to bring in the people that have more than a 2-month plan kind of thing. So 6 months is okay. 8 months is okay. A year is even better. But by all means, if somebody's with me and it's just not a good fit, I'm not going to like try and bang them into, a mold that obviously isn't right for either of us. And so I'd rather that they move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Karen, what have you seen in your work as far as what attracts people to stay at a restaurant workplace environment for a long time?
Absolutely. And I think that, I've worked with many a candidate that have gone to school and they've gotten their master's in chemistry and their master's in, international economics, but they've fallen in love with hospitality. They've fallen in love with the business. And so it goes back to hiring is not an action, but it's a process. And it's a process that moves and ages with your employees. And so I think that really giving them that idea that this is a career path, and you can move and learn and engage in a lot of different ways with your work family, with the community, and you can really make yourself a better human in the meanwhile, which is all really important to the people that I speak with for sure. And the clients, they want to hire good humans, right? So that's what you're looking to do. It's that mentality of service. And so it's really, like you say, with cooks, it's showing them that you're supporting them through getting their red seal. You give them the day off to go take their exam. Two cooks sitting together side by side. One had to take a day off. One was given the day off with pay to go and take that exam. They're going to chat about that, and those are the things to celebrate. They'll celebrate that creates loyalty, and like I say, it just creates good family at the end of the day.
Yeah, well said. This makes me think of a laundry list of skills, because one thing I've been thinking about lately is that being able to outline what your skills are and communicate that to your employees seems more and more important. Things that, as I've heard some of you talk about today, that people might not necessarily think of as a skill. Some of this, using social media and using some of these tools. Sean and Diana, I wonder if there's what skills are you seeing the most develop in your staff that you could maybe outline to prospective employees? Sean, maybe I'll start with you there.
Yeah, I think it's funny you say social media, right? I follow obviously our restaurants all the time on social media, and we've had social media people work in our departments and marketing before, but a lot of the stuff that comes out of our field is our staff, right? Like they'll take a picture of a drink that's made, or they shoot a video, or there's a TikTok, or And it's funny because when I used to open those, I would think to myself, "Oh my God, what am I going to see?" And now and it was like, who knows what this could be? It could literally be anything. And it was like, are they in uniform? Are they wearing a hat? Are they doing this? And I remember that, right? Previous to this role, I spent years at Starbucks as a manager there in multi-unit. So, there was a little more structure, and Starbucks loosened up a little bit. But so I've learned to loosen up a little bit. But I can remember, but some of the stuff that they shoot is like absolutely fantastic, and the way they filter it, and they have the right framing, and we'll often use it. And it's funny because our marketing group is like, we need more, we need more, we need more. And I'm like, they're servers, right? That they have other jobs too, but they're just doing such great things. So yeah, your ability to influence and communicate and understand the product innovation, right? Like we have Gabriel's Pizza, which is our traditional baguette style boulangerie crust, but we also do a whole fast fired al forno pizza out of our Crust and Crate location, and it's a completely different product. It's a completely different product line. And what's crazy is, you're seeing like the cross pollination of different pizzas and how things work and how people communicate. And we get great ideas all the time just out of social media and what is happening, because it's everywhere and everyone's connected. So I would say that, when you're a prospective employee going to an employer, or you're an employer going after a prospective employee, first of all, you got to be able to connect, right? And what's more exciting and fun than food and beverage? You know what I mean? Great ambiance, food that you may or may not be able to make at home, but you're connecting with us. How do you be passionate about it and communicate your passion? The best servers I've ever had are the ones that find a way to connect with me. They'll go into detail about why I'm there, or what allergies, or what interests me, or what their favorite food is, and to me, it is food and beverage, but hospitality is the whole thing. And you need to be able, as an employer and employee, again, choice. They're applying at a lot of places. We're looking for a lot of people. We have to find a way to connect together over food and beverage, and then find a way to do that hundreds of times a week with people that we've maybe never met. I would say your 3-minute elevator pitch, why you're passionate about it. I often talk to the staff about, what's your favorite thing? Like, oh, what's your favorite thing? The other day, prime story. I go in the other day, I'm talking to one of our supervisors. I said, yeah, we're looking at some menu changes. And she's like, you better not get rid of boomin' halloumi. And I was like, why? And she's like, it's my favorite meal. It's all I ever eat. And I'm like, what do you like about it? I love the balsamic drizzle. I love this. Literally 2 minutes later, she goes to serve a table. The customer sits down. The customer is like, what would you recommend? What are you drinking tonight? I'm drinking this. You got to have boomin' halloumi. Why? Boom. And it was like, I was like, that girl really likes boomin' halloumi. And the manager's like, she sells it like it's insane, right? And I was like, wow, like that's the differentiator for me. When someone can get behind something and they're selling it like they've made it, like it's the greatest thing in the world. I was like, we'll keep boomin' halloumi for a while, right? So what I would say is, that's what you're looking for. You're looking about someone who connects with people, connects with food, connects with beverage, but most importantly, connects with your company. And I think if you can find that, a lot of people in the world, you just need about 300 or 400 in my case. In the case of Diana, she needs a little less. But I just need a few hundred of those people, and I'll be okay.
Great story. That leads into my last question, so maybe I'll tag that on going to Diana. I was wondering about, Sean, you kind of answered that so well anyway. How do you inspire your staff to be ambassadors to the public? I mean, they love the product and they know how to sell it. That's a great example. But in terms of your employees, what do you find, Diana, that fires them up to talk up your operation?
So it's training, and it's from the get-go, and in the messaging in our group. I want to say, unfortunately, COVID has, stopped a lot of the things that we were doing in person, and those additional touches, I want to say. But it's the reinforcing the messaging that, you are an ambassador of Diana's. This goes in the interview process. And, Sean, maybe I should open another store or two, and find some more good people to work as team members in another store. I really do like the hospitality industry, and there really are some really great people out there. And it's like the interpersonal skills, so it's like you are representing our brand here, and what are we known for? We're known for top quality ingredients, and so a lot of times it's just giving them the meanings behind each ingredient, and then the education behind, well, why was this made this way, and why do most of our customers come to us? And again, Sean said it really great. It's like, what's your favorite thing on the menu? What's your favorite thing about serving customers? And the industry has changed so much is at least here in Manitoba, and with the mask mandate, it's like you cannot see if someone's smiling or not. And so we're missing our regulars, their smiling faces, even when they come pick up the pizza. And I know that my regulars have said that they are missing my team members and their smiling faces, because that's part of the interaction. Every Friday, Big Mike comes in and makes a few jokes, and my team members make a few jokes, and this guy goes back to my previous store for long-term customers. So it's definitely, for me, it's imparting the honor to make the food for the family at home. And people have a lot of choices these days. And so them coming to us to choose us, let's take the best care. We buy the premium ingredients, so let's take care to put them together nicely. Let's make a pretty pizza. Just, to say it, that it's not like we're working at a clothing store and folding a T-shirt that came in out of a box. We're creating from scratch most of the things that we're doing, and so let's do it with the utmost care and attention. So it's this kind of standard.
Well said. Both Diana and Sean really bring home the point about giving staff and giving customers a reason to come to your business. Karen, do you want to finish off with any thoughts about being an ambassador and what motivates people, as you've seen it, to, as you say, they talk to each other. How do they talk to the public and each other to say, this is a great place to work and you should apply?
It's actually a part of my screening process, is talking to potential candidates about how they show up for their employers, and how they instill that in others. So it's tremendously important to know that you're getting the right person that aligns with the values that you have taken, so much time in crafting. And so it's about being authentic. It's about, I think, that attitude that you take pride in serving others, and bringing them. You're actually helping someone end their day with a wonderful bespoke pizza, and you're facilitating a family night. There could be so many things. Just writing a message of thanks on the box, a smiley face on the cups. It doesn't matter what it might be, but that is sparking in someone else that they're with you. They see you as being a part of their community, and it's a loyalty. And it, at the end of the day, when they're mentioned on TripAdvisor or, the reviews, that it makes everyone feel good when that's all shared. So again, or eventually when we get back into community events, it's being able to be seen that you're helping the community, that you're working, whether it be, I think, Sean, you work a lot with the local hospitals in Ottawa, and so it's important.
Yeah, I think for us, being now 44 years old, we just celebrated our 44th anniversary here in the Ottawa area. And so many of our customers, are customers that we also deal with in the community, right? And there is a connection there, right? Whether it's us serving the Ottawa Hospital on a whole day event where we give out tens of thousands of slices of pizza in one day, and everyone from the office is there, and we set up and we give thanks, whether it's, the thousands of meals that we give out every year to frontline workers. And I'm a big believer that if you take from the community, you give to the community. And at the end of the day, regardless of whether we're selling pizza or pasta or wine or beer, we're in the people business. If we wake up every day and we recognize that we are in the people business, providing great experiences, we just have to be given high quality food, we're going to win more days than we lose. And I think that that's the part where you can't forget. George Hanna, our president, and the Hanna family has done a great job for many years giving back to this community. And I love that we do it. And I think that, as Karen mentioned today, people want to be a part of something. And if you can be a part of an organization that happens to also be someone who provides you an income and it's great food and you're giving back to the community, and when you walk around with a Gabriel Pizza jacket on, someone goes, "You work for Gabriel?" Oh my God, I know someone at the hospital. And you know what? That's a win. That's a win way bigger than any sales report on most days for our team. And we wear that as a badge of honor. Quite proud of that.
That's wonderful. I want to thank you all for joining us. We've generated some great discussion and ideas. And thank you for taking your time to share these ideas. And hopefully, and I'm confident, this will help some other pizza operators grow and lead their teams successfully. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Thank you.